Welcome to the tutorial on how to configure the getSerial module in PageGate. In this tutorial, we'll be going over what the getSerial module is, how it works, and how to configure its options. Before we begin the configuration, let me first explain what the getSerial module is and how it works. The getSerial module is a part of PageGate that can monitor a serial port or COM port for a data stream. For example, if you're integrating with a server monitoring utility or a nursing station call system, these types of programs and hardware have the ability to output data via serial port and RS-232 cable. The getSerial module can monitor that serial port, read the data stream in, parse the data stream, and then send the data out as an SMS message or page to a mobile device. So, the first step is to run the PageGate admin. Go to your Start menu in Windows, go to Programs, find the PageGate program group, and left-click on the PageGate admin. Once in the admin, left-click on the plus sign next to the Interfaces section. Click on the plus sign next to getSerial, and left-click on the word Settings. In the settings, you'll have these options: Enabled, Baud Rate, Parity, Data Bits, Stop Bits, Handshaking, and Init String. The serial port is the communications port that the getSerial module should monitor for incoming data. The baud rate, parity, data bits, stop bits, and handshaking will be determined by your sending device. PageGate settings must mirror those of the sending device. The init string field should usually be left blank, but if you're using a null modem cable instead of an RS-232 cable, enter ATS0 equals 1 here. After setting your communication parameters, put a check in Enabled, and then left-click on Apply. When you do, the program will ask you if you would like this module to be enabled for all existing groups and recipients. Click on Yes. Now that we have the program monitoring your serial port, we have to tell it how to interpret the data streams it will be receiving. Click on the plus sign next to Settings under the getSerial module, and you'll see these sections expand: Symbols, Record, Recipient, Sender, and Message. The first category is Symbols. By default, the program considers the following characters as special symbols. A question mark represents a single character wildcard. An asterisk represents multiple characters. A tilde represents the end of record symbol. A backslash represents the beginning of an ASCII value. More often than not, you'll want to leave these symbols on their default values. Next, we have the record section. The record defines the full record from beginning to end and should not be confused with the message. All information contained within a single data stream is considered a record. Since the data that can come in data streams is highly variable, these settings are used as an example only. If we want PageGate to consider all information in a data stream from start to finish a record, we'll need to change the start pattern to an asterisk, indicating that any character can be the first character of the record. Then, change the end pattern to a tilde and left-click on Apply. It should be noted that if your data stream does not end in a tilde, this setting will not work. The end pattern should always be the ending character passed by the sending system. The next section is Recipient. In this section, we can specify a static recipient or group, indicating that all data streams processed should always go to the same specific recipient or group, or we can have it dynamically pick out the recipient's information based on the data stream. In this case, let's go with a dynamic recipient. The start pattern indicates the character or string of characters that will always precede the recipient value. Purely as example, let's say that in this case it's name equals. So, in the start pattern, enter name equals. The start offset, in this case, needs to be set to 5, since name equals is 5 characters. This tells PageGate not to actually include the start pattern as part of the recipient's name. The end pattern indicates the character or string of characters that will always come after the recipient value. In this example, let's say it's a carriage return. To enter a carriage return as an end pattern, we first need to know the ASCII value for a carriage return. It's \013. If you'll remember, the backslash indicates an ASCII value delimiter, and lets the program know that this sequence is not to be considered literally and is to be considered an ASCII value string. Change the end offset to -1 to tell the program not to include the carriage return as part of the end pattern. Below that, you'll see a checkbox that says Use Lookup Table. The Lookup Table function allows us to modify data on the fly. So, in our sample data stream, let's say that the data stream is referencing a recipient named Sample. But I don't have a recipient named Sample, so the message will fail if the program attempts to read in the data as it is. To fix this, put a check in Lookup Table, and then left-click on the Edit Table button. Left-click on Add. Again, purely for sample, left-click on Add. In the data in, I'm going to say Sample. Then, in the data out, I'm going to enter the name of a valid recipient in the program, sample _ SMTP _ recipient. Left-click on Apply, then left-click on Apply again, and left-click on Apply one final time to apply all changes. Next is the Sender section. Let's say that the sender's name is denoted by generated by equals. If it is, then the start pattern is going to be generated by and the equal sign. And the start offset is going to be 13, since there are 13 characters in generated by equals. Next we need to tell it the end pattern. In my sample data stream, let's say that the end pattern is generated on equals. So, we're going to enter generated on equals and set the offset to -14. The reason I set it to -14 is that I want the program not to include the ASCII data value for a carriage return. As in the recipient section, you can use the lookup table to search and replace data strings within the sender's value. Left-click on Apply. The final section is the message section. In this example data stream, let's say that the start pattern will be contents equals. And my start offset will be 9, since there are 9 characters in contents equals. The end pattern we will set to a tilde, because we want all information between contents equals and the end of data stream. Leave the end offset at 0, and then left-click on Apply. This concludes the tutorial for how to configure the Get Serial module in PageGate. For more tutorials, including how to configure the other modules of PageGate, please visit our website, www.notepage.net.